Hello Internet! We're back with our friend the high-grade Universal Century RX-78-2 Gundam Revival version, and he's currently on a stand because I don't want to deal with him falling over. There were a couple of weapon sets released alongside this in the September 2015 issues of Gunpla Ace and Gundam Ace magazines. Those came out in July of 2015 because magazine release schedules are crazy. But I got both sets. Each magazine was only like $7. Not too big of a hit on the wallet. And I'm just going to show them both off here. Just allow me to reorient things to get a better view of what we're looking at here. Okay, and here are the two sets side by side. As you'll notice, one is in white and one is in gray. They are officially called the Temre's OD weapon set, and one is the Beam Javelin version, obviously the white, and one is the Gundam Hammer version, obviously the gray. And you will probably notice these are mirrored, aside from the coloring and then these two weapons. They are otherwise identical. So, if you only want, the other stuff and not the beam rifle, or beam javelin or beam Gundam hammer, go ahead and only get one, because they are exactly the same. That said, more parts are more parts, and you can do some fun things with them. I guess I'll just start with their main attractions. Here's the Javelin in its glory. It's actually quite long. It's good, like 6.5 inches long, so taller than the actual Gundam kit. And it's formed from this piece up here, which is the beam part. Then here's essentially a copy of the beam saber on the Gundam. And this long staff part that you can have some fun with. Meanwhile, and I think this is of the two unique pieces, I think this is the better of the two. To get this accurate, you just have to throw some paint on this part. Whereas the Gundam Hammer is kind of already accurate. But, excuse me. My issue with the Gundam Hammer is you're probably noticing this chain. Well, chain is just one molded piece with no sway. You have the waggly end here and a waggly handle, but there's nothing in here, and that's disappointing. Understandable given it is a magazine weapon set, but disappointing given that the G30th version of the Gundam came with a Gundam Hammer with a what looked like, from the pictures I've seen, an actual chain. So I've actually kind of been considering picking that one up just to steal the Gundam Hammer from it. But aside from these, you get these two cannons, assumedly beam cannons, but you feel free to use your imagination. This backpack piece. This piece, which is used for connecting things. Forearm kind of gauntlet or buckler style shield. A copy of the beam rifle. It is not the exact same mold as the one that comes with the Gundam. This part is a bit wider. I'll compare the two in a minute, but you also don't have the separate yellow piece in here. The Super Napalm, used in episode 2 or 3 of the original series, and then never again. And that does hook just under this beam rifle. For, basically, yeah, it's kind of a mini grenade launcher. Just napalm. And then this piece, which goes into the modular nature of some of the parts. And again, it's mimicked on this side. So I'm going to just shift back and show some different things that these can do. Okay, for starters, here's the Gundam wielding the Javelin and the Hammer. I'll just get that visual out of the way. As you can see, the Javelin is quite sizable, and the Hammer just kind of flips here. I mean, it doesn't look bad if you have it hanging on the ground, or I suppose you could somehow kind of thread it through the other hand, so it's kind of holding it. But it's not as impressive as having a full-on chain, which I'm not going to harp on that anymore. But in addition to these, if you remove these beam sabers, and what you can do is you take, I've kind of done this, but the cannons just peg into the backpack piece, and there's a peg right here, and a hole on the back of the Gundam's backpack used for holding the shield. Yeah, I think you can see where this is going. They just, if I can get in there, okay. Do that, and Gundam has a nice pair of shoulder-mounted cannons, very akin to the RX-78-6 Gundam Mudrock, if you ever played Zeonic Front or any other G Generation game or something that might have that. In addition, the other thing you do with the cannons, and that this little piece that I showed off earlier, is you can, make sure I get it oriented the right way. You can combine them so that this part's sticking down, and so now what you can do is just mount it on the forearm. So it has a forearm mounted cannon. And what you can do to augment this is take this shield piece, and it just slaps on the top there. And now this is essentially the arm gun of the full armor Gundam. So now we have our kind of like quasi cannoneer Gundam. Additionally, here's the, just as a comparison, I'll use the white one just for. Here's the beam rifle that came with the Gundam, and here's the one with the upgrade set. The barrel's a little wider here. There's no yellow piece, but otherwise the details pretty much the same. I kept the hand on here just because I'm lazy. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much the same. I also mentioned the Super Napalm, which mounted on that belly can mount on this one if you so choose. Actually, we'll use the gray one just because it matches better. So you can complete the Gundam's kind of cannon arsenal if you wish. So where we're getting to some real fun, use this one again, is this piece, and then I'll use the other one. You can peg this on here, and each of these ports has a hole for a beam saber blade. Now the Gundam only comes with 2, but I have some other kits that have the same style of blade. Specifically, these are from the revival version of the Freedom Gundam. So you can peg these in here. And I mean, you don't have to, you don't have to peg them in, but then this can plug on his arm, either arm, and he can have a kind of shield slash triple beam saber claw, giving Wolverine like horrendous envy. So that is an interesting thing to do with it. But if you want to go a bit further, again, this, like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can kind of mess with this. The bottom of this fits onto this. So what you could do instead, I'm going to steal the, actually, I'll just take this off. Steal the blades back. Stick them on here. And do that, and then give the Gundam a triple-bladed beam pitchfork or trident. And then if you have, if you have 2 of them, and I don't have enough beam saber blades for this on hand, but the other end will fit on the same way. So just kind of, pretend I have 2 more beam saber blades. You can, of course, have the Gundam have a twin beam trident, but not the same kind that Gundam Ultron has. A kind of insane, extremely long one. Yeah, that's getting goofy. Or, since this is in fact just kind of the same thing as the, here's a default Gundam Speed Saber, you could just do this and have a, here's a different look to the beam saber, without even adding other blades here. So, just tons of little things you can do if you like. Another one I like to do is, since I'm not big on this Gundam hammer, take this piece off and this piece off and just attach. Not crazy, right? This is okay. Yeah. Okay. So you do this, and you basically have like, the Gundam with a two-handed mace weapon. And if you want to get really wacky, because since the hammer fits on here, this will fit on here. So you have 3 beam sabers on a chain, and then you just shove the shove the beam javelin down here. So you have 3 beam sabers on a chain, a beam javelin with a mace head, and 2 cannons. So, various other goofy crap you can do, and it's marketed as being for the Gundam, but obviously the handheld weapons can be used by anything. The arm-mounted weapons, if there's something with a similar polycap in its arm somehow, that should work. I don't have anything on hand with that to check. And then the backpack, similarly, as I take off the entire Gundam's backpack there, that's another problem getting in the backpack. Also requires a little bit of wiggling. But there are, if something else has a hole in the back, it might be able to fit. Actually, give me, it's going to be, a quick cut for you, but I'm going to go grab my Strike Gundam and see if this will fit on there. So, be right back. Okay, so it doesn't work on the Strike Gundam. The hole for the Striker packs is too far recessed for this to reach, and this kind of like gray assembly doesn't fit, but does fit, I believe. Is that work? Yeah, it's a little tight here, but you could give the Strike Gundam, an underslung twin beam cannon if you want. But yeah, I just thought of the Strike Gundam because it's kind of known for being the backpack whore of Gundams. So he can go off to the side there. Anyway, point being, there's a lot of goofy, fun little stuff you can do with it. I know some promo pictures I saw had the backpack cannon mounted on the gun cannon, so it had these cannons in addition to its normal cannons. But yeah, like I said, all kinds of goofy, fun little things. I think the double A beam trident's probably my favorite. Anyway, that closes our look at the part set for the HGUC Gundam Revive version. At least until they reuse the mold and make it into something I inevitably want. High grade heavy Gundam actually be pretty cool. I know they didn't master grade, but or full armor, given that kind of already made the arm gun. So, but two steps removed. But yeah. So yeah, in conclusion, it's a fun little set. It's not too much money if you're willing to track down shipping might be an issue because they're kind of big, but if you're getting it with some other stuff, it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, fun little sets. If you are into customizing things, it's definitely worth it. Anywho, I'll just say have a good one until next time. Bub. Bye, everybody.